Hi, Modern Art class. This short video is going to introduce your project assignments that you'll have a few times during the semester. After every 3 lessons in this class, you'll have a week where you take an exam that covers those 3 lessons, and you'll also do a project. You have options for your projects. Your first option is always to do a research essay. You're also going to have the option to do a visual project, and you're also going to have the option to do a creative writing project. No matter which option you choose, it will relate in some way to the artists that you just learned about in the lessons that we studied. The research essay option is kind of what it sounds like. I ask you to do research on one of the artists that we studied in the 3 lessons before you do the project. So if it's project 1, you would be choosing an artist that we studied anytime before project 1. The idea with the research essay is that you research artworks that we haven't studied yet. So let's say we were studying Picasso, but we only looked at 5 Picasso paintings. You would find 2 Picasso paintings that we didn't look at and give some extra information about those, research them using scholarly sources, but also involve your own interpretations and opinions. I have specific instructions for this in writing, of course, but essentially that's what you do. You just do a little bit of research and analysis of a few artworks that we didn't study in class, but that are by one of the artists that we did study. It's a good opportunity for you to learn more about a favorite that you found. The second option that you'll always have is a visual project. The visual project is kind of the same idea where you use it to learn more about one of the styles or the artists that we studied. But for the visual project, I give you a list of styles, for example, Impressionism, Cubism, Post-Impressionism, whatever styles we learned during those lessons. And then your assignment is to do your own version of one of them. So let's say we've been studying Impressionism. You could make something inspired by Impressionism. Let me show you an example. Here's a piece by a student in class, and this is from the Impressionism unit. So we were studying Impressionism, and she wasn't like an expert or anything like that, but she had some crayons and markers and things in her house, and she decided to try doing the kind of Impressionist brushstroke. So you see, look in the cloud here, you see that particular kind of brushstroke. That relates to what we were learning about when we studied Impressionism during that lesson. And you make your artwork, and you don't have to be an expert in any way. It's fine if you're a beginner. And then you turn it in with a 2-paragraph explanation that defines the style that you're imitating and then explains how you imitated it. So even if this came out terrible, and it didn't, this came out really well, but let's say it was a complete disaster, this student would still be able to explain to me what Impressionism was, how she was trying to imitate it. So even if it didn't come out, I could still give her credit for it because I could tell from her explanation that she tried. So it's definitely something that's designed for beginners, people who are just willing to experiment with art. Here's another example. This was from the Surrealism unit. This is a different student, and she did her own surrealist drawing. And in her explanation, she explained what the crow meant and what the eyeball meant and why she did it, but she also defined surrealism and showed that she understood it and showed that this artwork related to it. So just like the research essay, the visual project asks you to learn more about something we've been studying and then interpret it in your own way. So really the research essay and the visual project, you kind of have to do the same things. It's just a different way of doing it. The last option is the creative writing option. For this one, what you do is, again, do research about the particular time period or artist or style, but then you invent a kind of story. So you'll basically be writing a short story from the perspective of either the best friend of the artist, like let's say you're studying Van Gogh. So you could make up a story based on Van Gogh's best friend, and it doesn't have to be a real person. You could invent it, but you would do enough research that Van Gogh's best friend would be able to tell us a story about Van Gogh that was historically accurate and tell us what things would have been like for him and explain who he was. Another option is if you don't want to do the best friend, you can do a model in a painting. So let's say a Picasso painting has a particular woman in it. You could pretend you're that woman and tell the story of that painting from her perspective. So for the creative writing example, it's a short story. You're making it up, but you're going to involve specific facts that show that you understand the time period and the artist. I have particular parameters for it, which are written down. You can read them, but it's essentially that you use 10 historically specific facts from research, and then you build your story around that.